The bodies of 13 civilians, mostly women and children, have been discovered in Syria's western province of Homs. Syrian state media blames the violence on rebel forces, saying the victims had been robbed, but that has not been independently verified. This comes after alleged chemical attacks in Aleppo 2 weeks ago, closely followed by bombing in Damascus that killed 42 people, including a prominent cleric. Ammar Waqqaf is from the London-based campaign group, the Syrian Social Club. You might find some of the images we'll show you in the next few minutes upsetting. Mr. Waqqaf, 3 vicious attacks within 2 weeks and most of the victims civilians. What does this tell us about what the conflict is descending into?
Well, hello. Well, basically, the conflict is really intensifying week after week, as we can notice. There is no doubt at the moment that this has turned very much into a war to bring down the Syrian state. This has started probably, from the Arabs or Muslims' point of view to support their oppressed brothers and sisters in Syria. But it turned out that they weren't at all oppressed. The theory was that once they see some international community support, some support from their brothers and sisters, that they would actually abandon the regime. But it turned out that they didn't. And now the only way for those who committed all sorts of, money and weaponry and so on, is to actually bring an influx, a huge influx of weaponry, of fighters and so on and so forth, with all the necessary logistics, including, for example, female entertainers for male jihadists. I mean, I've seen a Tunisian couple weeping and pleading with their underage daughter not to go for entertaining male jihadis in Syria. So this has gone very bizarre, and it has gone very intense, and those who had committed all sorts of billions and billions of dollars have no way back but to try and throw out the Syrian government in any way or shape they can.
There seems to be more targets towards just civilians. What would either side gain by targeting civilians?
Well, I mean, I'm going to talk about the side of the armed groups mainly here, if I may. The theory was that, again, once they go into a certain place, they should be viewed as liberators from the oppression of the regime or the government. What turned out is that they weren't viewed as liberators, but as an oppressing force themselves. So there is a huge intimidation practice that is taking place. I mean, we've seen yesterday in the Sheikh Maqsoud area in Aleppo that they've cut the head of the local cleric and, hanged it over the minaret. Sorry to disturb some people with this bad news, but there is a huge intimidation that is taking place, and those who do not take the view of these armed groups, especially the extremist Islamic views, are immediately punished so that everyone else obeys, in a sense. I would not be surprised at all to see the most horrendous atrocity taking place in order to try and neutralize anybody in an area that is recently occupied by these armed groups.
Is there room for any dialogue now between the Syrian government and the rebel forces?
Well, I can't see. There is a huge ideology that is taking place here, that the basis or the cornerstone for the philosophy of the rebels at the moment is extreme Islamic, is an extreme Islamic one, and there is no tolerance with such, ideologies. The politicians who claim to support the anti-government side really do not have a lot leverage on the ground. So talking with them is probably no more than a PR campaign to gain some popularity for this political leader or that one. It remains to be seen how they can and who can control these groups. There are numerous, they are not coherent, and we've seen, for example, a couple of weeks ago that the leader and the person who created the Free Syrian Army, suffered an assassination attempt.
Mr. Waqqaf, I've just run out of time, but I wish we had more with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ammar Waqqaf from the London-based campaign group, the Syrian Social Club.
Thank you very much.